What's up guys, welcome to another episode of Prime Survival, and in today's episode we're going to be having a little bit of fun. And we're going to be building ourselves a mob grinder. To some people that might not sound like a lot of fun, but to me, this is going to be a good time and I'm pretty excited to get amongst it. Now, the reason why I'm doing this today is because this mob grinder is going to be a good source of gunpowder, which is going to fund my firework rockets so that I can use elytra as much and as crazy as I want, and that's what this is all about. And not only that, but mob grinders are generally built up way high in the sky, and in survival mode, elytra is a good way to kind of protect yourself when building up high in the sky, because if you happen to fall, you can simply just deploy your elytra wings and glide to safety. So there's a couple things I have to do before we start kind of building our mob farmer today, and we're going to be dyeing a couple of these extra sheep here. So you'll notice that I've got a bunch of red sheep here, and I'm also dyeing some of the leftover white ones green. First of all, the red ones are because we're going to be using a little bit of red in the build we're doing today, for two reasons. One, because it's going to look good in the mob farmer for what we're actually going to turn it into later, because I don't just want to have a huge ugly mob farmer in the sky near my near my compound. So I'm going to be putting a little bit of color into it, and I'm going to be turning it into something in a later episode, so it's kind of preparation for that. And the green ones I'll explain when we get a little bit closer to that. So I'm going to go ahead and shear all these colored sheep here. I'll try and ignore the white ones because we don't want them eating all the grass that belongs to our colored boys here. So I'll be right back after I sheared all these guys. Alrighty, so we got some bare looking sheep here. I see a little bit of green wool just here on the side here. Go ahead and pick that up. I've got myself a stack and a bit of green wool and a 2 stacks and a little bit of red wool. That's really good. That's about all we should need. Whoa, run upstairs the old-fashioned way. And the reason why we're actually going to be using green wool is because we're going to be placing it on grass blocks to make them unspawnable. I'll explain a little bit more about that kind of later in the episode. But let's go ahead and put the green wool in there for now. I'll put the rest of the red wool. Actually, we'll leave a bit of red wool. Well, we're going to be taking some blocks of polished granite and some blocks of iron, and we're actually going to leave the rest in there for now, and we're going to pick up the shulker box and take it along with us. Now, I'll explain quickly before we get to starting the mob farmer here, the mechanism that we're actually using to kind of deploy water, so you guys will understand later. So come back to this point in the video if you want to understand exactly how the mechanism we're going to use is going to work. Now, essentially, what we're going to be building is a whole bunch of platforms, and these platforms are going to spawn mobs on them, and we want a water track to kind of, on a timer, to kind of turn water on, to flood the platforms, to push all the mobs off, and then we want it to pick up all the water and suck the water away so that the mobs can spawn when there's no water. Because regular mobs, unlike something like an iron golem in an iron farm, will actually not spawn unless the block they want to spawn on is completely dry. So what we've got here is we've got a dispenser with a bucket of water, an observer above it, and then a dispenser with a bucket of water and an observer above that. And all this is going to do is this is essentially going to be on the level of the, so if our spawning area was, for example, this, and we wanted the mobs to spawn on this, they'll spawn on here, they'll be safe, yay, it's dry, it's wonderful, and then we want this dispenser to fire and throw water over this platform to push everything off so that it falls. And the simplest way for us to do that is to place an observer with the redstone track facing downwards here, so when this observer spots that this dispenser has fired, it will fire this dispenser, and it's going to go all the way down the track. So I could do as many of these platforms in a row as I want, and then all we need is something at the top, like this note block I've got up here, to kind of turn that on and off. So if I can go ahead and left-click this thing here, it's not actually going to do anything, but you see the note block is just going to make a single sound when you click it normally. But if you go ahead and actually change the note that the note block is going to do, it's a single state change. So this observer here will recognize that this block has changed, and then it will put a redstone power through the invisible block that's here. But as far as the game is concerned, there is a block of air in between these two here, and that will power that block. If you imagine there was a block there like that, it will power that. but we don't want an actual block there because then it will block the water, and that will fire, oopsie, that will fire the water that's in that dispenser, and then this observer will recognize that this dispenser's changed, and then it will fire the invisible block in here, which will fire that one, and so on and so forth. So let me go ahead and break this real quick. And we'll go ahead and stand up here and just show you guys how this is going to work. So if I right click this thing, it will actually change the note, which will be a state change. It will fire off all the water, and that's how that's going to work. And there'll be platforms around each of these dispensers. And then a simple change of the note again will turn off the dispensers and the water will stop. So that's how that's going to work. So come back to this part of the video if you want to understand exactly how the mechanism we're going to be using today is working. It's pretty simple. Now all we have to do is choose a position for our mob farm to be. Now, most people when building mob farms elect to build over water. The first reason that is because if if you're too close to the ground, mobs will spawn on the ground and not in your mob spawner. And if you're above water, there's no ground for them to spawn on, so they won't spawn there. The other thing is you need to kind of build it high in the sky, because during the day, if I'm down here, mobs are going to be spawning on the ground, but they're also going to be spawning down in caves beneath us that we cannot see. And that will take up the invisible mob cap, which is the theoretical maximum amount of mobs that Minecraft will allow us to spawn, or will allow to be spawned in any one area, which is generally about your render distance. We want to make sure that we're not going to accidentally be spawning mobs on the ground and in caves beneath us, so that usually means we got to build up in the sky. But now, before we do that, we need to understand that mobs are actually going to despawn once you go 128 blocks away from them. So if I'm at 128 blocks in the sky, no mobs can spawn down here on the ground, and then subsequently any caves below us, they will not spawn there either. So ideally you would want to build 128 blocks into the sky. At this height we're about 160, so you can see if I come back down here real quick, if we come all the way back down to the ground, we're at level 70. So we want to go 128 blocks above here, which is going to be about 200. It's actually 198 to be exact. So at about 198, which is at about this level, you're 128 blocks above the ground, and nothing is going to spawn any lower than this. The problem with that is I don't want a huge monster spawner floating way up in the air. So what I'm thinking about doing is actually building our mob spawner on top of this huge natural obelisk that's in the air near our base down there. So because I think I can actually dress it up and make it look really cool in the future. So I'm thinking about building it on top of this. The trouble with that is that, one, it's only 137 blocks above the ground, which means it's about 70 above that ground there, and on top of that there's some hills around here, so those will be even higher again, and we need to get quite a few blocks above this for our spawner to work. But there is kind of a way around this. The way around this is that we can actually put a observing platform above the spawner, so that we're above the thing and mobs will not spawn at the ground, but we'll be close enough to the spawner that they'll spawn there. However, there is another obstacle that you'll encounter when doing this, and that is the fact that if our observing platform is up too high and we use a falling mechanism to kill our mobs, then we're going to run into some troubles. The trouble with that is mobs can only get so many blocks away from you before they'll actually despawn, and it's less than 128. So if we're too far away from the mobs when they fall out of our spawner and drop to their death, then they're going to despawn before they actually hit the platform and die, and that won't be good. So we're going to have to build our spawner a few decent blocks even above this obelisk for it to actually function. Alrighty, so we got some sand, and I've kind of marked out where I want the middle of my spawner to be, so we're going to go ahead and build up here. And ideally, we don't want to be quite 128 blocks above the ground, because if we get too high up, then it's going to look like it's going to be too difficult for us to kind of connect this build to our obelisk. But we're going to try and go a decent bit up here. Alright, so we're at about level 170 here. We're well and truly above the clouds. And I think we're going to go ahead and start building our platform from this position. This means that our viewing platform, or our AFK platform, if you will, for this mob spawner is going to be about 30 blocks above this somewhere. But that means that as long as we're about 30 blocks above this, and our kill area is about 20 to 30 blocks below this, which it'll have to be about 24 to 25 blocks below this position, we should be absolutely fine. The mobs shouldn't despawn before they hit the kill chamber, and if they do, we'll be able to fix it kind of later on. The other thing that we're going to have to do for this build is specifically because we have the obelisk below us here that we're trying to build this on, is we're going to actually have to dig down in this obelisk and make sure there's no kind of weird caves in the things, because if there is, then mobs are going to be spawning in that, and that will affect the efficiency of our actual farm here. So I'm going to go ahead and dig down one block here, so we're at 169, so that when we build our next platform, it'll be at exactly 170. And I'm actually going to have to go ahead and place a block here and grab out some of our materials. So I'm going to start with some dispensers and some observers I'm going to need, and I'm also going to take a bunch of iron blocks, red wool blocks, and we got granite blocks already, so that's good. Let me break this, see if I can't catch it. There we go. Catch this one as well. No, okay, that's going to fall to the ground. That is fine. So we're going to jump holding shift and place our dispenser facing upwards like that, and this is going to be the center of our bottom platform. Now, when it comes to doing this, you want to simply just take your blocks and you want to build a kind of cross off of this in every direction, and you want to go out 7 blocks. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, and you want to do the same on every single side until you've created a cross. Now it doesn't really matter what material you do this with, as long as mobs can spawn on the material you're using, and you do not have to use red wool or anything like I'm doing. I'm just kind of doing these colors because I want it to look nice at the end when I build this into something. Now the next thing that we're going to do is we're actually going to go ahead and take iron blocks, and you absolutely do not have to use iron blocks. Again, this is just because I'm using these as an aesthetic thing, because I'm going to turn this into a big electrical looking machine. I think at the end is what we're going to go with. And what you want to do is you simply want to fill in all of these sides with kind of a diagonal line. So you want to fill it in, and each section comes back 1 block like so. Pretty simple, right? And then you want to fill in the rest of it like so. And what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to do this slightly more difficult than it needs to be, because I'm trying to set up the color scheme ahead of time. And I'm going to put granite blocks on the sides like this. So the edge of mine is going to be a little bit like that. So I'm actually going to have to dig out these ones. If I can't catch these, hopefully I catch them all. I do not want to drop iron blocks. They're quite expensive to make, but thankfully we have an iron farm, so we didn't actually have to farm for any of this iron. Most of it we kind of just got passively on our iron farm, so that's really, really good for us. Alright, so this is our final complete first platform. Yes, it does. I know I'm crazy for putting iron in here because I used an entire stack of iron blocks just for this first platform, but I think it's going to pay off in the end, and hopefully it looks pretty good. I couldn't think of any kind of bronze looking block other than granite. If you guys have any suggestions other than potentially some kind of orange wool, I'd love to hear it. So please do feel free to suggest that. And we're going to go ahead and basically, from this point, we're creating the mechanism that we created down there. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go ahead and place our a temporary block, and then we're going to need an observer and then more dispensers. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and place a temporary block, another temporary block, and then an observer. Then a dispenser. And then we're going to come down here and we're going to break these 2 temporary blocks. And we're going to hold shift, get as close to this as possible while looking up, and place that like that, so the observer is facing downwards like so. Now all we have to do is build another platform off the top of this one here. So I can go ahead and take my red wool, my iron blocks, and my granite, and I can go ahead and build a complete other platform off of this one here. Alright, so we have our second platform completely done, and we're going to do the same thing again. Take our sand, then we're going to take an observer and a dispenser, and we're going to place 2 blocks of sand like so. And if you get a little bit confused, I'll say real quick, if you're trying to place a block of sand on your dispenser and you find you're just opening the window, you need to jump and hold shift. so that it'll actually let you place it on there. And then we'll place our observer facing upwards, sorry, our dispenser facing upwards like that. And then we go ahead, remove our 2 temporary blocks, and then we want to get as close in here as possible and place our observer like so. And if you're confused, if you can't quite tell based on this which way your observer is facing, the way that this arrow is facing here is the way that the redstone current is flowing. So the redstone will power this block down here, our invisible block above the dispenser there like that. Now, when it comes to making a mob spawner, you can go ahead and make as many of these platforms above here as possible. You can make 100, or you could go all the way up to build height, whatever you want. It's just going to give them the mobs more space to actually spawn. But we're going to go ahead and build maybe 3 or 4 here. It depends on how much iron I have. Let me actually check, because iron is the thing I'm going to run out of. So I only have 2 more stacks of iron. So I'm going to go ahead and make probably 2 more levels, and that'll be it for today. When I get some more iron, I might extend this. But for now, 4 platforms is all we're going to need to do. Alright, so we've completed our last platform here. We're going to go ahead and take a little bit of a fly out here and see what this looks like. You can see it looks like just a big pillar with some random kind of platforms up on top above it in kind of just a diamond square looking shape like that. I think it looks alright. And so if you guys are curious, the reason why I'm building it with the materials that I'm building it with is because I'm hopefully going to turn this into a big electrical looking system on top of the giant obelisk here. I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to decorate it or dress it up here, but the reason why I'm going with the metal looking... Oh, hello, we got some mob spawning here. That is absolutely fine. It's doing its job. That's good. Let's go ahead and sleep down here, though, real quick. Where was I? Yeah, we're going to turn this into a giant electrical-looking kind of coil up here in the sky, hopefully, is what I'm going to be going for. And for us to do that, I wanted to build it with kind of metal-y and coppery-looking materials. So the red is just to kind of put a little bit of color into the build. I may actually change the layout of the red itself, or I could even potentially remove it if I don't like the look of it at the end of the build. But we went with the silvery from the iron, and then the polished granite is to kind of look like copper around the outside. I'm not sure how it's going to look at the end. That's just the colors I went for now. We could go ahead and change it if we want to in the future. It's just a matter of going up there and changing the blocks. But what I actually might do is extend the platform up one more time. So I want to do a total of 5 platforms. It's just a matter of whether or not I have enough iron. So we're going to go over to our iron farm and see if we can't get our hands on a little bit more iron, if that's been passively producing us enough, and we can make ourselves another stack of iron blocks, hopefully. So it looks like our farm has produced more than enough iron for us to make another stack. We need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 stacks here. We'll just need to clear up some inventory space. Let me go ahead and throw this wool out and these shears, and we'll take 2 more stacks, and yeah. So we only just emptied that out, and it looks like we've got more than enough to make another entire stack of iron blocks, so that is great. I'm going to go ahead and do that really quickly. Alright, now assuming this is our top platform, we're going to go ahead and I'm actually going to collect some materials out of my shulker box here. I'm going to need some redstone, we're going to need some comparators, potentially, no, we won't need repeaters just yet. We'll take some sticky pistons, some hoppers, and we'll take, yeah, that should be enough for what we're doing right now. I'll take some redstone torches just in case. We're going to go ahead and take our redstone dust and make a redstone block here, and then we're going to break our shulker box, and we're going to make ourselves a music block. Simply take some wood and make a chest, and then just put a redstone dust in the center of it. Alright, so what we have to do now is we need to make our detector that at the top, which is going to be connected to a clock, which is going to fire off our system here. So to do that, we're going to go ahead and we'll do 3 temporary blocks, but we'll do it with polished granite. So 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to go ahead and we're going to break these 2 blocks. We're going to take our observer and we're going to put it facing down like our usual ones, and then we're going to really quickly build up on top of this here so we can get up. We'll break this block here, and we actually need to put our note block there like so. And now I'm going to come up on top of our note block here, and we're going to build a platform off the note block, because this is going to have to create a darkness on the top platform here just below us, and we need to kind of surround this here. So you want to really make a rather large platform to surround this. But I'm just going to make a relatively small one here and see how small we can actually make this, because I don't want it to be too bulky on our build. So I'll be right back after I make a relative platform over the top of our build here. Alright, so I actually forgot to grab one of the most important parts before coming back up, and I should have grabbed some buckets of water here. So we're going to need a total of 5 buckets of water, one for each of our platforms for in the dispensers. So I'm going to go ahead and grab 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I'm actually going to take 1 just in case. So I got 5 buckets of water in my bag and 1 here. So I'm going to go ahead and fly back up, and we're going to have to put a bucket of water in each of our dispensers for that to fire when it is ready. Everything should be good now, so if I go ahead and fly up the top here, and whoa, that was fast, and we tap this one like so, we should see all of the water flow over nice and even. There we go. Alright, now that's how it should look. Now we've got the water flowing to the edge on every single platform perfectly, and that means that any mobs that spawn on said platforms should just get thrown right off the edge, so that's good. Alright, so now what we have to do is we have to create a mechanism that can fire this, this note block on a kind of timer. So we can go ahead and make a simple redstone clock. So what we can do is we can take some redstone dust, and where do we have our, okay, we have our shulker box here. Our shulker box should have some repeaters. Yep. Okay, so what we can do is a simple redstone clock is just something along these lines here. So you make a square of repeaters like so, and then you can go ahead and put some redstone dust around the circle like that, put these to the maximum delay. Now each tick, I'll explain really quickly, each tick of delay on the redstone repeater is 0.1 of a second. So as base like that, it is 0.1 second, 0.2, 0.3, and then 0.4 of a second. So this is going to be a pretty small delay here, but do we actually have something? Did I bring some cobblestone? And if I just flick that like that, you should see that the circuit is just kind of going around in a circle. And if we connected this to this note block, it's going to go ahead and tick it in every time it passes. So it'll go tick, tick. Every time it basically hits about this spot, it will light that. But that means that the water isn't going to have an actual chance for it to kind of disperse all the way to the edges and then go back and let the mobs actually spawn. So if we wanted to do a clock kind of like this, we'd need to do a rather big circuit, because we'd need to have quite a few repeaters to actually get the delay up to something about 20 seconds or so. So you'd end up with about 60 repeaters or something like that. So that's a few too many. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a very simple hopper clock. Now the easiest way to do this is go ahead and we'll build this just over here a little bit, so it's kind of, actually, yeah, we'll build it here. So what you want to do is you want to place a hopper, and then you'll place a hopper facing into that one, and then we'll go ahead and break this hopper, and then we'll place another one facing into that one, just like that. And then you're going to want to take a redstone comparator, and you want to place one like that facing away from it, and then another one like that. Let's remove this torch so it doesn't get confusing. And then we're going to go ahead and take a temporary block, doesn't matter what it is, we'll do it with some red wool here just so it stands out, and like so. And then you want to take your redstone dust and put a dot of redstone on the top of each of these, and you want to just kind of click it here because you want it to be a dot like that. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take some sticky pistons, and we're going to kind of place them like so on each side like that. You can see I was using the hitbox of the little bit of redstone to actually place that there like that while I was holding shift. And then all we're going to do is we're going to place another block on, say, this space here. Actually, we'll do this block here with something like granite, so it doesn't get confusing with the redstone block when we place that. We'll place a granite block here, and then we'll put a redstone block there like that. Now, what that's going to do is it's going to stop this hopper from actually functioning, essentially, with this redstone block powering it. It's going to stop it from feeding anything between the two hoppers. And then what we can do is we can go ahead and if we make, we can do this with kind of any item, it really doesn't matter. Let's go ahead and take a stack of sand here. And this is going to be 32 sand, and we're going to put that into this hopper. And this hopper is going to very slowly feed all of that sand into this hopper. And you'll notice something will happen when this hopper is completely empty. The comparator is going to fire. Okay, so I just realized a small mistake that I made. You're going to actually have to make sure that the little dots of redstone on these are actually the little star spiders. So we're going to go ahead and place the redstone block once again, and we're going to take our sand out, and then we're going to actually turn these into their little stars, and then it should function properly. So if we go ahead and put our half stack of sand in here, it should activate the piston like so. And then it's going to do the same thing as what we just waited for. It's going to feed the sand into this one, and then once this hopper is completely empty, it's going to push the redstone block to the other side like that, and then it's going to allow this one to feed the sand all the way back into the other side. And what that's going to do is essentially you can very easily kind of add and subtract time from this clock. So if I go ahead and take some sand out of here, it's going to actually move across a lot faster. So if we wait for that, there we go, it's going to move over. And if I take even more out of here, it'll actually be even faster. Take a little bit more out of here and we can get it going real quick. So it's just going to tick back and forth like that, and it's going to be super fast. So we can kind of adjust the time that this clock is going to add very easily. So I'm going to add all that sand back in so it's on a 32 second, or it's going to take 32 blocks. And then all we're going to do is we're going to take our redstone line like this, and we can simply just connect this to our note block like that. And what that's going to do is every so often it's going to push the redstone block onto this hopper. It's going to activate this line, hit our block, which is going to turn on our water like so, and then when it deactivates, it's going to turn off the water. So there we go, our water's all completely gone. And basically that's just going to fire every time that redstone block is moved by our pistons. It's going to fire the water and then leave it for about 15 seconds or however long it takes the hopper to move all of those blocks, and then it's going to keep doing that. So that's going to be on a perpetual clock right now, turning the water on and off constantly like so. And I can see there's a couple creepers actually spawning down there in the shade that this whole gizmo has created. So you got to make sure that if you're building this over land, not over water, you need to make sure that the actual ground underneath your situation is sufficiently lit, because you do not want mobs to be spawning down there and taking up the mob cap. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to fly on down to those creepers, give them a little beating, and then we're going to sleep here to turn it over to daytime. More than likely what we're going to have to do is we're actually going to have to extend the platform above this so that it creates a sufficient amount of shade on each of the platforms when the water isn't there, allowing mobs to actually spawn. So if we land on one of these here, you can see that even currently our light level in here is pretty much about 6 or 7 in the middle, and then as we get to the edges, it's actually like 10 and 11. And we want everything on this platform, even during the day, we want it to be below 7, basically 7 or below, and that will allow mobs to spawn on it pretty much around the clock. So what we're going to do is we're going to have to extend our platform up here on the roof so that it creates a big enough shade. Alright, so I finished in that and it's looking good. Now from my understanding, it's probably going to take a radius of 14 blocks in each direction from our block to kind of create enough darkness on our platforms that everything can spawn. So as of right now, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. But I'm actually going to go ahead and fly down here and just check the darkness level on our platform here. And it looks like we have a light level of 3, 4, 5, 7, and then all the way out on the end we have 8. So I think if we actually do one more, so just one more block all the way around the outside, that should create a light level of 7 or lower the entire way around on all of our platforms. So let's go ahead and see if 13 is going to be enough. Alright, so we added one more level on, and let's go ahead and check our light down here. We should hopefully see 7. No, we still see 8 on the very outside here. Alright, there we go. We have quite a large platform on our hands here. Let's go ahead and fly down once more and land in here and see what light level we have all the way on the edge here. We have a light level of 7. Great. So everything under here is a light level of 7 and below. Alright, so we should now start to see a bunch of monsters spawn on our platform and kind of be pushed off by the... There we go. And begin to fall to their death. So that's pretty good. Now, obviously, this may not be perfectly efficient because there may be some caves in our pillar down there, but we're currently at a Y level of 185, which is only about 110 or so blocks above the ground there. So we may have to actually build up a little bit higher for our viewing platform, and as long as monsters aren't going to be despawning down there. You can see there's actually spiders and stuff on the ground right now, so we're too close to the ground where we're sitting right now, so it's going to be taking up the monster cap on our platform there. But that's fine for now. We'll make our viewing platform a little bit higher than this. What we're going to have to do is we're going to go down and land on our obelisk down there, and we're going to create our collection platform because we want our mobs to be falling and landing on hoppers so that we can collect all of their drops. The best option for you to do is actually to build a kind of large water trough beneath the final platform and then funnel all of the mobs kind of into the center. So we'll have water flowing all the way into the center and then dropping them down a kind of 2x2 chute. But with the build that I'm going to do here today, I want to actually do something a little bit more interesting. And I'm actually going to create a circle. Ooh, there's a creeper that's spawned over here somehow. Alright, we're going to have to light this up a little bit better, it seems. Oh, see ya, buddy. Alright, is he going to be actually here? Yeah, he's sitting right there. Let's go ahead and grab our bow here and finish this guy if we don't want him to somehow cause some trouble for us. Let's put a couple extra torches over here. We don't want any mobs spawning up here and messing with us at the moment. And there we go. That should be good enough, hopefully. So what we're actually going to do here is we're going to do a giant circle of hoppers that will hopefully collect everything and put it into a central chest. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to place our shulker box here with all of our hoppers, and I only have, how many hoppers did I make? I only made 62 hoppers, and we're most likely going to need a lot more than that, so we're going to have to collect a bit more iron from our iron farm, and we also have a chest back at our house with about two full rows of stacks of iron, so we should not have an issue here with the amount of iron that we need for our hoppers, but I'm going to give you guys the basic general idea of what we're going to do here. So if we go ahead and take some temporary blocks, let's go ahead and use our sand here. And we're going to build out, let's put this here real quick. We're going to go ahead and build out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then we can do this on pretty much every side. But we actually are just now realizing that we can't do this on every side with sand. So let's go ahead and actually do this with wool. Because obviously if we place sand out across the open here, it's going to start falling. So 1, 2, 3... 4, 5, 6, and 7, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, and then we'll do it again on this side, 1, 2, 3, and we'll have to jump up here, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Now this is essentially the platform that we're working with, so I could actually go ahead here and fill in the rest of this platform. I'm actually going to fill in half of it with sand here, just because, actually let's leave those on our bar, we don't want to mess with those. I'm going to fill in the rest of this with sand as if it was the platform above us, and this will give us a perfect idea of how to surround this with our hoppers so that it's going to catch pretty much all of the mobs that are going to fall on top of this. So I'm going to go ahead and fill all of this in just as if it was our platform, and I'll be right back. Alright, so we have a nice replica of the platform above us now. It's half sand and half wool, which is absolutely fine. We're going to be removing it anyway. And what we're going to go ahead and do now is we're going to measure the distance from our platform up there to this one down here, because we need it to be a pretty decent distance to make sure that all the mobs are going to die. You'll notice that most of the mobs that are falling down are already dying. We got some skeletons that died from here, but currently our platform here is at a level of 137, and the very bottom platform down here is going to be, just missed that. Let's go ahead and see if we can't land in there, and I'm going to miss that again. Let's get up a little bit higher, and there we go. Alright, so this platform is currently at 170. So we have a sufficient drop all the way down to this platform in order to kill all our monsters. We need about a drop of 23 to kill most monsters, slightly higher to kill ones that have armor, and we're sitting at about 137, which is currently a drop of 33. So that's more than enough. We could actually build this up slightly higher here, but it's absolutely fine. We don't need to build this too much higher. So what we're going to do here is we'll actually build our hopper circle kind of around this platform like so. And I'll build it up just a little bit higher here so we can have a collection area. And let's go ahead and we'll place, where we're going to place our chest here. Let's go ahead and place a chest. Do we have chests in here? Yeah, we should have chests. Alright, so let's go ahead and place a chest. Let's say here, and then we're going to have another chest on top of it, like so, and then we should be able to, no problem, go ahead and take our hoppers here, and we'll place, oops, let me jump up on here, we'll place a hopper there, and then a hopper there, and then another hopper on top of that one, like so, and then we can connect basically every hopper to these in some way, shape, or form. So what we're going to do is we're going to try and do a full circle around this platform here. So it's going to look a little bit like this. So we'll go one like that, and another one like that, and that's going to be our corner piece. and then we're going to go one here, another one there, another one there, and we're kind of going to just create a shape that goes around the outside of this, like so. So let's go ahead and we'll put 2 here, and then we'll place 1 there, 1 there, and we're just going to go ahead and border this with a kind of 1 by 1 shape, pretty much like this the entire way around to start off with here. Alright, so we didn't quite get all the way around with the hoppers that we had, so let's go ahead and put a temporary block here and just jump up here, and you can see, whoopsie, you can see that we have a pretty decent ring of hoppers all the way around our platform here like that, except the trouble is our hoppers might not actually catch all of the mobs as of right now, simply because when they fall off the platform, obviously they can't actually end up falling anywhere from here inwards because they're falling out, but they may actually fall somehow a little bit further out here and miss the hoppers completely. So I'm going to have to go ahead and make a bunch more hoppers here and kind of surround the rest of this this platform fully, and then we'll have to extend it out a little bit to create a bit more of a full circle here. So I'll be right back. I'm going to go ahead and make a bunch more hoppers, and we'll get ourselves back up here. Alright, so we've gone ahead and extended our platform here on our hoppers here, and hopefully everything should be feeding into these chests here. Yeah, we can see that a few drops. We've had a couple mobs actually drop down as we were making it, fall down and land on there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and fly all the way up until about build height here. So we're going to go to about 240, that should do. And now if we fly down here and land, most of everything on the ground should have despawned, and we should start seeing some mobs spawn onto our platforms here. Yep, there we go. And when the water fires here, we should see them all drop, and hopefully all of them hit the hoppers and nothing else here. Alright, so yeah, it looks like we missed one on the side there, so we may have to extend it one more kind of just slightly around the outside, so we may have to do one more row of hoppers around the outside. But what we're going to do here is we're actually going to build this platform just slightly up higher here. So let's go ahead and take some more granite, and we're going to build this up a little bit higher here because we don't want mobs spawning on the ground. So let's go ahead and build this about, what level are we at here? Let's go to about 200, because 200, it's going to be just 128 blocks above the ground here. So we can actually go ahead and take this down 1, and 198 is from about 70, which was the ground, is going to be exactly 128 blocks. And hopefully here, if we see some mobs spawning, if there isn't any caves in the obelisk, which I haven't actually checked yet, I will check after we're done the build just to make sure that this is perfectly efficient. We should only be able to be spawning mobs on our platforms here, and then when the water goes, we should see all of them falling down. There we go. And it looks like majority of them, 99% of them, are hitting the hoppers, but we may extend it just kind of one more row of hoppers on the outside just to make sure that we're hitting everything, because we don't want to be missing anything with our little hopper collection system here. So let's go ahead, we'll wait for one more round of mobs to spawn and kind of fall and hit the ground here. There we go, look at that, it's beautiful, it's working great. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and land down here, and we'll put a whole other row. Actually, let's check here. Yeah, we got a good number of things spawning in here and giving us some drops. So we're going to go ahead and take the rest of our hoppers here, and we'll do an entire circle around this one more time like so. And hopefully by the time this row's done, everything should be more than wide enough to, oh god, everything's raining down around me. Hopefully it should be more than wide enough to catch everything all of the time, and we shouldn't have to extend it anymore after this. Also, I just realized with our hopper collection system here, we're going to actually have to cascade the chests in a kind of way, because the way that hoppers work, if we had it the way we had it just before, it was actually not going to function too well. So what we need to do is kind of cascade it like that, and that means that this hopper is, all of the hoppers above are going to feed into this one, which is then going to fill this chest, and then this chest is going to be emptied using this hopper, which is going to feed into this chest. Essentially what that means is that this chest will fill up first. Once this is full, it will no longer be able to feed, which means that this hopper can't take anything from this chest, and then this chest will fill up. So if I go ahead and place a bunch of our stuff here into these hoppers, we should see it fill up nicely into this bottom chest down here. Nothing should go into this chest, it should just be all passing through it very quickly, and this chest will fill up. And if we filled this chest completely with mob drops, then it all should start to fill up the second chest. And if you want to have extra a large amount of storage, you can just kind of cascade this as many times as you want. You could actually even do something like this. So you could have a chest there, and then you could put a hopper on this one, like so, and then this one will fill up as well. I'm unsure which hopper here will actually be prioritized. It looks like it's still going to be this one, but basically all that means is that once this chest is full, it will fill this one and then this one after the fact. So you can go ahead and add as many hoppers into this configuration with chests as you want, but I think these 3 chests should be more than enough for the amount of mob drops that we're going to be getting out of this farm. Alright, so what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to go ahead and remove this pillar and clean up this pretend platform that we placed underneath. The quickest way to remove this platform, which is why we did it out of sand, is we're going to break this bottom block and then very, very quickly place a torch, and we should get a cascade of all the sand, like so. There we go. All the sand's going to fall. Wonderful. Alright, easiest way to break a pillar, and that's why I use sand to kind of pillar up to anything that I need to do. And we're going to leave this one single stone block because that's going to mark the center position of our thing up there. And we're going to go ahead and remove the rest of this sand here. And we're going to have to go ahead and light up the area once again, just so it looks nice and clean and no mobs can spawn here. And we'll go ahead and remove all of this wool as well. Alright, so all I'm going to do up here is I'm going to go ahead and create a small little platform of glass for me to land on with my elytra and a little box for me to kind of AFK in. So we're going to go ahead and build it off of this like so, and if it's glass, we should be able to no problem kind of see everything that's happening around with the farm itself, so we can kind of see everything around us. Alright, so I've created a little box like so, and all I'm going to do is create a little bit of a platform at the back here, so that we can kind of use it as a bit of a landing platform for our elytra. And that's going to be our only way to actually get up here. So if I somehow lose my elytra, or alright, so we have our little glass viewing platform up there in the sky. Now I should be able to at any point just kind of fly up here with my elytra and just kind of come in like so and land, and then I can go ahead and sit at the back here. Now I kind of want to create some sort of protective thing that I can put behind me here, because I don't want anything like phantoms or anything to come and be able to attack me from outside when it's nighttime and I'm AFKing here for an extended period of time. So I may actually bring myself a door up here and place it at the back here, but I don't need to do that just yet. But we should be able to see from here, if we watch, we should be able to see some mobs spawning and falling down. It should be mostly efficient at this time of day with all of the mobs. There we go. See, the mobs are all landing on the hoppers, no problem. That should all be funneling into the chests and collecting all those drops for me. And yeah, it should be all functioning quite nicely. There they go, all of them falling down. Wonderful. Alright, so all that's left for us to do now is to make it so that this thing is going to be just as functional at night. And for us to do that, we need to make sure that most of pretty much every part of this obelisk is spawn proof. So that means inside it and outside it. So that kind of brings me to our green wool. So we're going to go ahead and take all of this green wool and we're going to actually turn it into carpets here. So where'd my crafting table? I'm going to grab a little bit of wood, turn that into planks, make ourselves a crafting table. And just now, as I'm realizing I'm doing this, I don't actually need a crafting table to actually make these carpets. We just need our window like that. And it's nearly nighttime, so I'm going to go ahead and sleep here. And what we're actually going to do with these carpets is we're going to go around on our obelisk, and all of the random little spots like this that we don't actually want to light up, we're going to actually cover them with some green carpet, because most of it's dirt, so it's all going to look pretty natural. But we're going to go ahead and put carpet on all of them like this. So we're going to have a pretty weird looking green mountain here, but at least it's going to be all spawn proof. So no mobs will be able to spawn on any of these kind of spots. And that means that, yeah, we should be pretty spawn proof. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then I'll come back when we have a nice, wonderful green mountain for you guys to look at. Alrighty guys, so two things. Firstly, I ran out of green carpet a lot faster than what I was expecting to. You can see I've covered a little bit of it. Oh, there we go. We covered a little bit of it kind of down here. You can see the green from the carpet's a little bit brighter than our regular grass down here. And the other thing we're going to have to do is we're going to have to dig out a huge portion of the inside of this obelisk to make sure that there's no kind of caves in it. The likelihood of there being caves, especially this high up, is pretty low. And if there is, they'll most likely be pretty small. But I'm going to have to to go ahead and kind of dig drill holes in all through here to make sure that there's no caves, and if there is, I'm going to have to either fill them in or light them up with torches so that they're spawn proof. But what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and turn a lot more of our sheep green, and we'll cover the rest of the mountain here. But I'll come back after we've kind of hollowed out this to make sure that there's no caves in it, and we'll cover the rest of the mountain in green carpets, and we'll come back and show you guys the results of that. So I'm going to go ahead and spend a little bit of time doing that, and we'll be back. Alright guys, we're back, and I have gone to the effort of digging 5 huge trenches right down the center of this obelisk here. I dug them all the way down to about sea level, and I put a little bit of water in the bottom of each of them in case I happen to fall down them. At least that way there's no way of me actually dying if that were to happen. And we also did our best to kind of surround the entire outside of the obelisk with green carpets here. So took a little bit of shearing sheep. I think I went through about 3 shears worth of durability on doing this, and you can see we covered the majority of the outside. I think I've pretty much got all of it. I just spotted one piece. Whoopsie. Just spotted one piece up there that we missed. I see it right there. But I don't have any more carpet on me, so I'm going to have to go and get that. And there's a couple over here that I got to get as well too. So I'll do a couple extra flybys around this and try and get the last little bits of carpet down. But for the most part, everything that is within 28 blocks of our little viewing platform up there, or our AFK platform if we'll call it that, should be spawn proof. We even went to the effort, if you can see through the clouds here, I'll just go ahead and jump down. We even lit up some of these high positions that were within 128 blocks. And yeah, it seems to be working quite nicely right now. So I'm going to go ahead and I'll fly up here. And I just lost, where is it? Oopsie. Okay, let's go out, fly a little bit of a circle here. And come in for a nice little landing. Spin like that. Nearly jumped off, lost my bearings there. And if we sit here, we should be able to see quite a few mobs falling off this thing in the next rotation here in a second. So the water just turned off. Our little clock up on top of there is working quite nicely. And in about 10 seconds here, we should see the water turn back on. Let's see. Alright, that's more like it. We got about 8 to 10 mobs there. Yeah, that was pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. Obviously, we can go ahead and add like twice as many platforms as that. Above or below, as long as we kind of raise our observing thing here, we should be no problem. We don't want to be too close to the actual spawning ground, because if we're too close, then the monsters aren't actually going to spawn. But this is only a single player world. The efficiency of this spawner doesn't have to be anything crazy where we're gonna, we don't need thousands of drops per hour. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, like, comment, and subscribe. Join our Discord if you want to share your thoughts and have some discussions with like-minded Minecraft players. I'm going to go off and cover the last little bits of this mountain with a bit more carpet on the few spots that I missed. And yeah, I think that's about it. Like I said, if you enjoyed the episode, like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next episode of Prime Survival. Cheers, guys.